Good to know you right there, watching and listening to us at this very moment. I'm right here with the Chairman Senate Committee on Media and Public Affairs. I'm talking of distinguished Senator Aliyu Sabi Abdullahi, of course a true representative of Niger North, and of course eloquent, young and vibrant. Please join us as we be with him in a short while. Distinguished, like as I said, you are young, eloquent, and as a spokesperson of the Senate, you're always there to say the right thing at the right time. We want to believe that Nigerians are never too tired to know what is going on. And security issues have been something that has been trending all here and there. Sometime, of course, you had some meetings with the chief heads of security agencies, and there was actually a deep down deliberations and all that. Nigerians are still yearning to know what is the outcome of this meeting you had with them.
Well, thank you very much for having me. You will recall that the Senate, through a resolution, has agreed to invite the service chiefs to come and explain to us what they are doing to tackle the myriads of insecurity that Nigerians are witnessing. And this came as a result of emotion moved by distinguished Senator Hunkuyi of Kaduna North, where he brought our attention, or the attention of the Senate, to proliferation of dangerous weapons and the spate of kidnappings and other killings that we are, particularly rural banditry, that we are witnessing. And to say that, of course, given statistics from the African Union and other stakeholders, there are millions of light weapons across the West African sub-region, and over 70% of these weapons find their way into Nigeria. And of course, it's not unusual for you to say there is a correlation between this new development and the spate of insecurity, where people are being killed incessantly, villages are being sacked by bandits from places you never can even believe, notably Zamfara State, Kaduna State, Benue, and other similar locations. So arising from this, we invited the service chiefs, and of course they came in yesterday, Wednesday, and we went into a very lengthy executive session, spanning more than 4 hours. And like I said, the discussion we had with them is very frank, very thorough, and one that I can see is full of passion from both sides, both from the side of the Senate and from the side of the service chiefs, led by the Chief of Defense Staff. And I also could say clearly that it was full of patriotic zeal. So overall, we had a very wonderful and robust discussion, and we would like to put it to Nigerians. These are the reasons why, for us in the Senate, when we invite the heads or leaders of the security formation, it is purely to have a robust discussion and engagement so that we can understand the issues with a view to providing solutions to them, for Nigerians to understand that yes, they are in a democracy, because the Constitution is very clear. The primary purpose of government is the welfare and security of the people.
Distinguished, as the spokesperson of the Senate, what is your general assessment of these 8 assemblies so far, in respect of the various bills and motions being passed? What's your assessment?
I think this assembly, for all intent and purpose, can be based on all that has happened. For me, we come in history as one of the best assembly, even though many people out there see it differently, but that is based on perception, and perception sometimes are very difficult to to talk about. But the facts on the ground, in terms of performance, in terms of our commitment to doing the legislative work I think this 8th assembly surely goes down as one of the best since 1999. And I don't think in making this assessment I am out of place, because I've been in Abuja from 1999 when this democratic dispensation started, and I'm also working in the public service. I've had interface and interactions with the National Assembly in my capacity as head of planning and institutional development, as budget officer. So clearly one can say, based on the trajectory of things and whatnot, and even from the records which we try to make comparison with, for example, in terms of bills, as at 2 years, that is midterm, we have already surpassed the bills passed by all the assemblies. I can't quote the records clearly now, but what we presented then, I think, was about 100 and something, which was more than any other assembly. And I think as at about 2 months ago, when we updated that, the number had shot to over 200. And we still have more bills that are either at second reading, some already at third reading with committee reports ready. So I can say clearly that by the time we'll be finishing this 8th assembly, I have every conviction that the number of bills that would have passed will surpass any other. Now, the other question you may ask is, what manner of bills? I want to put it very clearly that I was challenged some months back to present a paper, and the paper was looking at pro-poor. And when you say pro-poor, you are saying that all actions, policy implementation should focus on the bottom of the pyramid, those people who are at the lower rung of society, who do not have a voice, who are helpless, who are in the poverty line, living below maybe $1 or $2 a day. So all of these things I compared, and based on even the framework I saw, either from the Canadian Development Institute or agency, or from USAID, or even from DFID, is saying that for you to be pro-poor, it means the propensity of everything you are doing must be targeting the poor people. And I want to say that that is exactly what we have done. From our motions, I've made an assessment of motions that cut across people who were unjustly maltreated as public servants. Some people with 20 years, like the police officer, one sergeant who was dismissed just by word of mouth. We restored his case. So many cases like that which we have handled. And you agree with me, just looking at that, the Committee on Public Petitions under my good friend distinguished Senator Sam Anyanwu, if you look at what he has done, the number of petitions that we have cleared, it surpasses far more. And because of the thorough nature of what they do, many agencies, including private sectors, choose to come to us rather than to go to court, because the cost of litigation is now down and they are able to reach an amicable settlement. So if you look at all of these things, it means we've been able to help companies that otherwise would have gone moribund due to a case between them. We're able to resolve these issues. Communities that almost are about to go to war, we have resolved issues dealing with them. For example, I remember in the LMA petrochemical area, there was a very serious crisis there, and we resolved that rather than allowing them to go to war and killing themselves. We've been able to do that, and we've resolved that. So you can see, if you look at in terms of impact, it means we are going down to touch the lives of our citizens. Now, in terms of bills, some of the bills we have passed, for example, the Made in Nigeria project, which we looked at, where we are saying that by the amendment of the Procurement Act, we should begin to put Nigerian companies who are producing products first. That way we can secure them in terms of guaranteeing their production and supply, and that way they can remain in production and therefore keep people in employment. Now, if you also look at bills like the recently passed KAMA, just yesterday, the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry, which is the most vibrant chamber of commerce, had come out to say that we have given a lifeline to small medium enterprises, which we all know is the basic ingredient for sustaining any economy. And I think in doing this particular work, we have broken a jinx, we have set a record, because that bill has been there since 1990.
Distinguished, you actually caught me right, because that's exactly the question I wanted to ask. How has it been affecting lives? Because I've been privileged to see you on your motions and bills, and it's targeted at human beings, the betterment of Nigerians. So what is the relationship between the executive and the legislative?
Well, you see, first let's even look at it. We're in a democracy. Many people tend to say we have frustrated relationship. Yes, that is true, because we are meant to checkmate their excesses. And you don't expect anybody that you are checkmating his excesses to feel happy all the time when you do that. But for us, for all intent and purpose, there is no animosity. We're just doing our job, and in doing so, we also try to remember that we are serving the same Nigerian people. It's one government. It's just that the nature of democracy requires that there should be check and balances. And as the voice of the people, it is our responsibility to bring to fore and to bring to bear the pains that Nigerians are going through. And we did that on several occasions. For example, it was on the floor of the Senate that the Minister of Finance announced that technically Nigeria is in a recession. When we came back from recess and realized that, look, the pains we have seen and what we passed through shows that all is not well. So we called for that discussion, invited the relevant people, including the Minister of Finance, and you know, the revelations came out very clearly. So arising from that also, we went on to make 22 recommendations, which we passed on to the executive, and that went a long way in helping them to take actions that are necessary and sufficient to take us out of recession. And you know, we are very grateful to Mr. President, because he was magnanimous in acknowledging that when he came to present the 2018 budget document to the National Assembly. So these are many more. I want to say this National Assembly generally and the 8th Senate has tried to live up to its responsibility. There is no day we come to the chamber without looking at the fate of our people. The two lens and the two indicators is the welfare and security of our citizens.
Distinguished, thank you so very much for obliging, and we do hope next time you will always be there for us. Well, we've been having a good moment with him, and of course you will agree with me that it has been intellectual contribution from the Chairman Senate Committee on Media and Public Affairs. I'm talking of Distinguished Senator Aliyu Sabi Abdullahi, of course a true representative of Niger North. We do hope next time you will join us. Until then, goodbye.